Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Business Over Brunch. My name is Kima, your host and podcast creator. I am also the senior publicist for Maddie Clay, Branding and Public Relations, and creative director for Redhead Creative Media Group. Excuse me. So today, of course, it's Saturday, it's brunch time, and we're also in the month of May, where we've kind of taken a step away from our normal conversation about the beauty industry and the background and the business of beauty. And today we're delving a little bit more into mental health, but this time from a different side of the conversation. So I have with me Dr. Jada Moore Ruffin, and I'm going to go ahead and bring her up to the stage. Hi, Dr. Jada. How are you?
Hey, friend, how are you today, Kima? It's
I'm
great
doing
to be
so
here.
good. Thank you so much for joining us today. Before we get started, of course, we know it's Saturday, it's brunch time somewhere. So today I'm having a little bit of passion tea, even though I'm detoxing and should be drinking water. What are you having for brunch today?
I have a little bit of matcha green tea with a soy combo that I got earlier and
One of my
no
friends
problem.
loves matcha. I have to try it and see what the hype about it is.
It is good. It's really good for you, too.
I've heard. So thank you again so much for joining us today. Tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
So I'm Dr. Jada. I'm a weight loss and wellness expert, a physician, entrepreneur, and a life coach in the personal success space. I help high achieving and results driven women not only weigh less, but further their success through my award winning medical weight loss center and through my signature coaching programs and through my online content. And most importantly, through my newest book, Girl, Get Ready to Lose the Damn Weight.
I love it. I love it. I need to lose some of this damn weight for real. All right. So you talked about your award-winning center. So of course you all know just by her introduction that we're going into the mental health conversation today from a little bit of standpoint of how we feel about ourselves, our outward appearance, as well as our inward self, because that all plays a significant part on your mental health. So give us a little bit of insight about real weight loss and wellness. What are some of the products and services that you offer?
Absolutely. So, Real Weight Loss and Wellness is located physically on the north side of Atlanta. However, we do serve in many states across the country. And I think what is unique about Real Weight Loss and Wellness is that we are individual centric. So, the services that we provide, particularly in the weight loss space, starts with the individual in mind and it ends with the individual in mind. As a medical weight loss facility, we are physician supervised, physician led, and physician driven, but we have an amazing team that supports each and every one of our clients throughout their entire process, throughout their journey, from start to finish, the accountability, the strategy, the support, the guidance, implementation, execution, all of it from start to finish. So I think that makes us unique and also very, very successful.
Awesome. So with your physical location in Atlanta and other places, with COVID, a lot of things has gone to telehealth. Can people get virtual assistance with the programs that you offer through Real Wellness?
So what's cool is pre-COVID, we were already providing virtual services locally and across the country. So what COVID gave us the opportunity to do was to actually up level our virtual capacity and infrastructure and to actually serve more people during the pandemic. Our virtual outcomes have been absolutely phenomenal. Whether you're in Ohio or in Maryland or in New York or right up the street in Atlanta, the results don't change. You get
Awesome.
awesome
Well,
results.
make sure that you all go ahead and go to the website as we're talking and go ahead and look at some of those services and see how you can get support, whether or not you're local or in different areas. So you've already kind of touched on my next question. Since we're talking about mental health and how someone's outward appearance can also play an impact on how they feel about themselves, which also impacts their mental health. You mentioned that, the service is really focused on the individual. From a mental health standpoint, what does a person experience when they're going program, like from if they felt about themselves one way, have you noticed a difference about how they feel about themselves and their mental health when they finish the program?
Absolutely. And that's a perfect question because I think so often The emphasis is placed on the physical container, and we don't usually take into account the impact of excess or extra weight or being overweight has on a person's life, not just lifestyle, but their life experiences, maybe even their memories in earlier years, and the impact that it has on their ability to be successful, prosperous, and have a high quality of life. So mental health is critical to the work that we do. We start with an in-depth assessment, and that assessment helps us to guide the areas that we really want to emphasize throughout the program. And the beautiful thing is that working at the level of coaching, it goes beyond just the implementation of eat this, what to eat, how to exercise. It's all way beyond that. The complexity of obesity really requires a strong mental, emotional, psychosocial approach in order to be successful long term.
Right. And, it's interesting how we talk about obesity. And I've seen a couple of different infographics on social media over the last couple of weeks that says the BMI chart is not built for African Americans because we typically have heavier bones. So obesity for us may not be obesity for other cultures, but we are still probably larger than what we should be. Some people are comfortable in that. Some people, of course, are not. For the people who aren't, sometimes it takes a little bit more for them to get up and go to the gym or to seek a healthcare coach such as yourself. What would be some things that you can tell them that they can do to get started at home? And then once they feel better, a little bit better about who they are and feel comfortable speaking about their challenges to someone, how can they get themselves started?
Okay, so great. So I hear two questions, and I think I'll start with the first one is about BMI. If I can tap on that for just a moment.
Yeah.
Historically, I've always had to address the concept of BMI, body mass index, which is a tool. It's a resource. It's a tool that we use to help determine height weight ratios. So agreeably, everybody is different. Literally every BODY is different. However, this non-invasive tool or resource helps us to determine when body weight, particularly body fat, is at a level that now becomes to the point where it can impact your health and well-being based on statistics and where we see BMIs that are higher and BMIs that are lower. Does that make sense?
Yes, for me.
So when we do that, I think it standardizes a little bit more whether you're Asian or African American or Latina. So we can actually begin to use this tool from the value base of is there more body fat than one really uses, needs, and would benefit from. And so when we use that concept, then BMI as a tool becomes a more valuable resource and we think less about the actual instrument and more about what it is telling us.
Got it.
Now, for those who have not come to the place that they are ready to be public facing in their journey, not ready to reach out to get individual help, some of the things that I encourage people to do is to begin to, it's gonna shock you. I think it's to really begin to journal, begin to write down, where is that part coming from? What is it that I desire, really truly desire to see in my world, in my universe, that I get a chance to live within and enjoy? What would I like to see? And as you begin to write that down and get into the place of expression out of your head and into the universe, then you've made a step towards that goal and towards that journey. Now, goals start with something really, really small. We're all familiar with SMART goals. So those specific goals, and they're measurable. So a simple SMART goal may be, today I'm going to stand in the mirror for 30 seconds and just repeat, I love you, girl. I love you. Listen, no matter what, we riders. I love you. I love
Right.
you the most. I'm your number one fan. I'm the one looking out for you. You can count on me. Have that dialogue and that conversation every morning. Get consistent with that. And then you'll start to say, well, what's something that I can do for my favorite, my bestie, my number one, me? What can I do? Today, the next few weeks, it may be, why don't I just drink a little bit more water and just get real good at that? Just real good at that. Don't you just get real good at that. Don't overwhelm yourself and just get really consistent with that. Really consistent. And you get the gist of what I'm saying.
Right.
Some easily things that you can drop right into your life today. It doesn't require a membership. It doesn't require other people. You don't have to buy anything. You just start where you are. Those are some of the thoughts that I
I
would
love
offer.
that. And in one of our previous conversations about mental health with another brunch guest, journaling was a big part of that. So even from someone with a health challenge, journaling will still help you in regards to, like you said, get it out of your head, get it into the atmosphere, remove some of those negative thoughts about yourself. And I love, those affirmations. I haven't been consistent with doing them, but it's interesting to see how they can play a part in different parts of your life in regards to giving yourself that positive energy and feedback, and holding yourself accountable. So I definitely love those two concepts in regards to how you can get started without, like you said, a membership, having to see someone, without having to constantly explain what's going on. So definitely, this is why we're having this conversation, because weight, the way you look, the way you feel, plays a part on your mental, and we want to make sure that everybody is moving forward in a positive mental health space. So we are seeing women dying from going to get various weight loss surgeries, um, body contouring experiences. What can we do, or what advice can you give to look for a more healthy approach to some of these surgeries? Because of course we know sometimes they are necessary, but what are some things that we can do, or they can do, to look at it from a more healthier side and be more educated about that, so they can protect themselves, going in and coming out of these experiences?
So that's a great question. And I think one of the key things you mentioned right off the bat is education. Understand what it is that you are looking for, and then what it is that these services offer you. A lot of times, what I find with clients, and I see a lot of clients who have already gone to surgery, who have, some of which have had good outcomes in the beginning, some that have had not so good outcomes in the beginning, and some that had good outcomes in the beginning and weren't able to maintain them. So the key thing is to understand what it is that you are actually doing, and then be really honest with yourself. Is this the logical and best step next? In other words, let me repeat that. Is this the best logical next step for me in this journey? Is this the best logical next step? And best and logical is going to say, is this the safest? Is this the most reliable? Is this the most sustainable? Is this the most beneficial? Because what I find a lot of times is that clients will supersede those very important questions to get to an endpoint
Mm-hmm.
that seems so clear and so, it's like getting to the end of the road and you don't know how you got there.
Right.
And so, and a lot of times, I'll be honest with you, I see that happens out of desperation. And so, and we don't want to make any decisions out of desperation. So if you're feeling like this is my last resort, this is my last chance, I've tried it all, and this is what I have to do, and something in the back of your head says, I
Right.
don't know. I don't know if you did it all. This is, so get really good with intuition,
Mm-hmm.
and do your research. Look at stats, look at outcomes, look at long-term outcomes, look at whether or not those surgical teams have had any lawsuits, look and see, have there been any deaths? Look and see when you're in these conversations, what's the post-surgical plan look like? Do you, get your last suture and you get it, you go on out the door and you never see anybody, never hear anybody? Like, what's the long range game plan? Just be a real good student. The same things you would do if it was your child, and you'd be like, wait a minute, that don't sound right.
Right. Yeah, and it's interesting you say that, the different research questions. Like, I think sometimes people are scared to ask those questions because, like you said, it's out of desperation and they just want to have this body shape, or they just want to, get this weight off. And I was looking at a couple of episodes of the show that K Michelle did on Lifetime about the plastic surgery, and some of the images I just couldn't stomach. But, that came up a couple of times where the doctor had previous issues, and one person was like, like you said, was post-op, and they just didn't hear from the doctor again, and they had to do everything on their own. So in those situations, would a center like Real Weight Loss and Wellness, will you be able to kind of like pick up and guide them through some of those experiences, or would you refer them to someone else who can help them through some of the mental healing challenges that they face because of things that may have gone wrong for them?
Yes. So here's the cool thing about what we do, especially in the surgical space, is that we work with people pre-surgical. That means we help you prepare for surgery, because some people have gone and gotten consultations and you may need to lose 30, 40 pounds before you can even go to surgery. So we help people to prepare for surgery, both physically and mentally. And we also help people who have recently had surgery and don't know what is next, don't understand how to care for themselves, what now needs to be adjusted in your lifestyle in order to get the best results. And then we also work with people who are on the other side of surgery. Maybe surgery was a while ago. Sometimes things just aren't going well. Sometimes you don't feel well. And when we're having this conversation, I'm talking about gastric bypass, sleeve, and band, and in addition to contouring or cosmetic services like liposuction or tucks or nips and things like that. So sometimes we really need to help you get your body in its best condition to maintain what it is that you went to get. And if you don't have those key pieces of the puzzle in place, it could be very, very difficult, in some cases, even life-threatening.
Right. And that's definitely what I would want to try to avoid, because it's very disheartening when you hear people go and have these surgeries, and of course you don't know what their mental state was before then, but now we'll never know because they're no longer with us because something has gone bad, and then people look and say, well, they should have never had the surgery based on XYZ. So definitely I think that this is a key part of that mental health conversation that sometimes gets missed. So we're in a time right now where everything is about Instagram appearance, TikTok, reality TV. I read an article a couple of weeks ago talking about influencers on social media who exchange procedures for reviews on social media. And even they were talking about some of the mental health challenges that they have after this. Should I have done it? I don't want to now influence my audience to go through and think that these are the best things. So for this generation of teens and young adults that may be listening and hopefully listen later on, what advice can you give them about body positivity and self-esteem, and what they should begin doing now as young women to build up their self-esteem outside of the affirmations and, different things like that?
Absolutely. And that's a great point that we have to really look at. What's the long term? We see what some of the short term effects of influencers, and really just this whole culture of perfectionism, having the bag, having the body, having the bay, having all of these things. And what it tends to do at the individual level is to remove one further and further away from their true self. Let me say that one more time. It
Please.
tends to remove one, you, I, me, people, further and further away from their true self. That's that divine individual that you were purposed, planned, designed to be from day one, because we get into the habit of performing to the levels that we see out in the public, and we want to be that, and emulation becomes our reality.
It does.
And for some who this ain't really who I was really set up to be, it could be an extreme challenge. And what happens is you begin to question yourself, self-doubt, don't measure up, not good enough, don't have enough, not pretty enough, not famous enough, not liked enough, not followed enough, not shared enough, not viewed enough, based on your perception of your life that's being borrowed from the public sector. And what that does is it erodes away at your own ability to see value and worth in who you really are. There's a conflict.
Mm-hmm.
So for those who are struggling, I'm going to take it to a simple word, maybe not necessarily simple to transform, but a simple word. I'm going to go beyond positivity and take this to love.
Love it. Yes.
That's the basis of, because we can get into a place of positivity that also becomes performance. You may have even heard of the word toxic positivity.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done it myself. It's okay. It's okay. It's all right. You know, and we can just make everything so cosmically wonderful and not really deal with the truth
Mm-hmm.
of what's at hand. So what I say again is, in order to really have the, not just the affirmation, but the embodiment of body positivity, is going to be sourced through love. So then what do? We work on loving ourselves deeper, stronger, unconditionally, so that from that is the wellspring of how I treat myself, how I
Right.
treat my body, how I manage my energy, who gets to be in my space, what's in my environment, because it all comes from a truth of self and from a very loving space. So it can be easy to say, well, you know, friend, we good and all, but I can't meet you there today. I can't do that next week, because you start thinking about what's best for me, what would show me some love.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really where I say come from. And if you're struggling with that, that may be something that we do want to reach out and touch somebody.
Right.
A trusted, adult in the case of teens. That may be a teacher. It may be a mentor. It may be someone in your youth group. If it's not someone in your family, in your school. And don't be afraid to reach out to professional help. Ask your parents. Ask
Mm-hmm.
somebody. I have people that I've mentored that I've paid for them to go to see a therapist.
Wow. Yeah.
My kids have their therapist information on their own phone. My card is on file. They make their own appointments.
That's great. That's great. Because I don't think that a lot of parents, or I'm not even going to say parents, I'm just going to say that because sometimes, because we talked about this before too, about how in our community sometimes therapy is still that I don't need it. I don't want to talk to anybody about my business. It's we'll fix it, we'll handle it. But on the side of, we see people die from procedures, but we're also seeing so many young people commit suicide because they felt like they didn't have, someone to talk to, or they tried it on their own and it just didn't work out. And it could be from weight, appearance, school, being bullied is at an all-time high. So yeah, I definitely agree with reaching out to someone to make sure that you have that additional support and let it be known that you need help. And if you're not getting it from somewhere, find out where else you can get it from. Yeah, so you have to give yourself a voice with that as well. Um, this is a great conversation, and I feel like it's so many answers, questions that are out there from people as they listen, and things that we haven't talked about, because mental health, weight loss, physical health management, it can encompass so much. But I know that you have this wonderful program that's coming up in January, Girl Get Ready Summit. So tell us about that.
The Girl Get Ready 2K23 Healthy, Happy, Hot Wellness Summit. Let me tell you how it started. So this will be the third year of the summit. This was birthed right in the middle of the pandemic, maybe closer to the beginning of the pandemic. After nearly a year of despair and death and loss and grief, it downloaded to me is we've got to do something to celebrate life, and we got to do something to create a focus and an emphasis on wellness and not just sickness, because that's what we can do. That's what we can do in the middle of the pandemic. We're figuring it out as you go, and
Mm-hmm.
we're hearing so much that's happening. We saw a few things that were very, very clear themes in terms of who was most affected by the pandemic. It was people of color, minority groups, elders, and people who were overweight and had other health conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, you know what? We're going to focus on wellness, and we're going to help people through this time to focus on what they can do. And that's how the summit was birthed. So for the first 2 years, we did it virtually. This year, we're going to have a virtual, and well, in 2023, we're going to have a virtual and an in-person component. There was overwhelming success from the very first year. And when you start something new, especially in a pandemic, you're like, are people going to come?
Right.
And people came. The second year, I was dragging my feet a little bit. I'm like, are people going to come? And people came, and we knocked it out of the park. The stage, the people on the stage are just absolutely bar none. You cannot find a better summit, in my biased and humble opinion, on the planet. So plan to be there, whether in person or virtually. It is amazing. We covered all kinds of topics. And what I love is that we really brought wellness into spaces other than the physical. We talked about environmental wellness. What is your place around you?
Mm-hmm.
One person talked about the savvy business owner, how to make working from home work, and just things, tips that you do to be well in your space. That's going to affect your productivity.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to affect your creativity. It's going to affect your stress levels, because if you're working well, then you're not so stressed out, especially for people who didn't expect to be working from home then,
Right.
or for as long as they have been, and some people permanently. So how do I create this? We do an image, a wellness from an image space with Sudi Spence. She's an amazing celebrity stylist, and she just nails it every single time. What I love about this summit is there's such an energy that comes with it, that there's such an attunement spiritually into the soul level, that you cannot leave and not be moved, no matter what.
Awesome. I'm excited. I don't know about coming to Atlanta in January because, the weather is always, but definitely the virtual experience sounds like it'll still be fun and you can still pull that energy from that. So you mentioned earlier too about the Girl Get Ready book. So did that book come from the summit? Tell us about it and how do we get it?
Yes. So the book was completed during COVID, right at the time of the summit, just before the summit. And the book, Girl Get Ready to Lose the Damn Weight, is a weight loss book about more than weight loss. So if you've gotten anything from me today, you know that I'm like, it's more than just the numbers on the scale.
Mm-hmm.
So we really cover that, and it's kind of broken up into a mind, body, spirit kind of framework. So we really go through some of the things that we don't often think about. And honestly, this book is applicable to personal development, self-awareness, and growth in many areas, in addition to weight loss. And the beautiful part about this book, I had a guy tell me, well, why did you say girl get ready? You need a guy get ready. Is that this book is really universally relevant. And I think it's fun. It's an easy read. It's not super long. And if you break it up to one chapter, there are 30. You break it up, you can finish it in a month with ease.
Awesome.
How to get the book. It is available on Amazon, and it's also available if you'd like a signed copy or if you want to get bulk orders. Let's say you want to even host a book club. I'll join you. You can set that up on girlgetreadybook.com. Girlgetreadybook.com. And it's all there for you to uh, to do online.
Great. So book club will be definitely, especially for a group of women with like-minded goals that can come together and talk through things and support each other and be accountability partners. I definitely love that. So, Dr. Jada, thank you so much for joining me today. Like I said, I know there's some things that we probably left uncovered, but do you have any last words of encouragement that you can give our audience about ways to improve their mental and physical health?
The one thing that comes to mind is never give up. Never give up. Fight for yourself. Take a stand for yourself. And sometimes that means, honestly, you got to source help. Know when you've tried and done your best. It's okay. It's okay to reach out. Let's get rid of this superwoman complex that we have to handle and manage everything. Get help and never give up on yourself. Ever, 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 ever.
Right. I love it. Tell us how we can connect with you.
What would be super wonderful is if you join my Facebook group, because I'm in there talking, I'm dropping nuggets in there, I'm putting all types of updates in there. And on Facebook, it's Girl Get Ready, Healthy, Happy, Hot. Healthy, Happy, Hot. You should see it pop up. Girl Get Ready, Healthy, Happy, Hot. Jump in there. Leave us your email address because we love to keep you updated on things. You can always follow me on social, Dr. Jada MD. And the my office, if you're looking, if you know you're ready and this spoke to you and you're ready to make some changes in your health and your weight and your life, call us 404-464-8749.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Jada. This has been a great conversation. And I can't say enough that I feel like we have left some stone unturned, but you can't answer everything at one time. That's why we have her here. Again, if you have any questions, if you need help and you need some additional support, please feel free to go to her website at realweightlosspro.com. Join the Facebook group, Girl Get Ready, Healthy, Happy, Hot. And then also be on the lookout for the Girl Get Ready Summit coming in 2023. So this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you all again for joining us for another edition of Business Over Brunch. Again, we brunch every first and third Saturday at 11 a.m. I am your host, Kima Boyer, and we were joined today by Dr. Jada Moore Ruffin of Real Weight Loss and Wellness. Again, please make sure that you are protecting your peace, protecting your mental health, and getting help when you need some. Until the next time, be blessed and enjoy whatever is on your brunch menu. Thank you for joining us.